fam? This is Herb here with what? Producer Points. It is episode 30 something. I didn't got what it was, but look in the description box. That's what it is. Listen, I'm coming to you today to talk to you about using old sound modules in 2024. Now check this out. We're on the journey with ASR 10. In a few weeks we'll get back to that. It just needs some money. We'll get into that another time. But I want to talk to you today about a phenomenon that's sweeping the musician community. Now I know that a lot of us can't afford the Montage 8MX yet, or the Roland, or the Nautilus, the Korg Nautilus, and there's some other keyboards out there that's phenomenal, but the price points are very high and expensive. Now, does that mean you have to go lacking in your sound? No, of course you don't. There are plugins out there. That's the new way of doing things, but I don't really like bringing my computer out. I like doing it the old school way. What is that? Using sound modules. Now let's talk about it. Let's think about it. Now I'm going to show you my little rig, one of my little rigs, real quick. And as you can see, this rig, it consists of, this is actually a part of my podcasting system, okay? But I use it to every now and then to bring in some good tunes and whatever the case may be, add addition to my plugins. So as you see at the top, that's my XV5050. It is off the chain. I love to use it. It has very clear 24-bit sound. It's a true 24-bit engine in this unit, just like its siblings, the XV3080 and the 5080, which is technically the Phantom, okay, series of instruments. So this particular unit was built back in 2003. So that is like 22 years old, 22 years old at the moment, okay? If you look below that, that is the Super JV, that's the 1080, JV 1080. That unit was built in 1994, okay? Now, let's talk about it. These units has excellent sounds, but you're talking about 20 plus year old tech. So my JV 1080 is now 30 years old, and the XV5050 is now 22 years old. And so what could I use these instruments for? So watch this. They got this thing where you can go on rolling. You can actually rent these sounds and not be worried about the clutter and this, that, and the other. But here's the gambit to it all. See, we have to understand that even though the tech is antiquated, meaning that, you know, it don't show up as a plug-in in your DAW and all that stuff, you know, it doesn't do that. You have to use analog cables to get it to a sound card, to get it to the software. But here's the advantage. Because you have great A to D converters in these units already, and it's hitting transformers and capacitors, it's going to have a very lushy sound versus a plug-in, okay? That is the gambit to it, this all. So let's take a look at it one more again, okay? So again, you can't plug, even though if you look at the top left side of your screen, you see it does have a USB connection. Now that USB connection is strictly for MIDI. It does not do MIDI and audio. Remember, that's 21 years ago that this unit come over. 22 years ago that the XV5050 came out, early 2000s pretty much. So that technology was not out. Now when you look at the JV 1080, the Super Jupiter, it was just strictly audio and MIDI. That's all you can get. The 5-pin, then MIDI. Now here are some, again, here are some of the better results to what is being done with these units. Okay, so again, the great is the sound quality. It is not the tech. Now, if you look a little closer again at these units, you see that it do have expansion modules that you can add into it. So the XV5050, you can place in here a couple of expansion cards, the SRX sound cards. You look below, you can put 4 SR expansion cards, okay? So they have a library of expansions that you can run simultaneously. But there's a catch. If you look at the top, and right after it says XV5050, you see something that says 60 voice expandable whatever, okay? That 64 voices mean that you can hit up, depending on the sound, you can run up to 64 voices. In other words, that means you can get up to 64 voices before you hear notes flying off. So that's where the tech becomes antiquated. Let me do a comparison of the tech of today. The newest sensational Yamaha, it runs at about 400 notes. Montage MX8 has 400 notes polyphony versus these two units running at 64 voices polyphony. That's really not a lot, especially if you're running them by themselves. You're not going to get nowhere far. You might get 2 sounds in stacking. But if you use these instruments in series, you can run 128 notes polyphony, but that's still behind the times. And so I primarily use these units sparingly when I go on a gig, when I have I can utilize the space and this, that, and the other, and it does what it does well. But I have to know that I can't, one unit can have one sound, right? Like a strings, nice lushy strings, and then the other sound may have a great piano that I use. But that's one instrument per unit with the effects. Okay, we are, MacBook Pros can do more than that. You know what I'm saying? Adding different layers and Logic or whatever the case may be, or mainstream. So again, the tech is old, but it works. So give you an example. I have a client of mine that I had to do an orchestral song for them, and I used a lot of the sounds from the JV 1080 and XV 5050, and it got the job done. Why? Because these sounds are very authentic, 30 years old and 22 years old respectively. Okay, so I want to encourage you, if you can't afford the biggest and the greatest keyboard where you got all in one, where you can stack as many sounds till your head fall off your shoulders, but you don't have the cash, just use what you got. Just use the older modules, or even the Integra. The Integra does well as far as great sounds and stuff like that. That's the Roland Integra 7. That is something I'm going to own to my arsenal. So that's all I had. I want you to go to eBay, go to your local pawn shops, even Goodwill. Goodwill sells these type of units. They do. Online, that is. You will be searching all over the country to try to find something at this level. But I want to encourage you to try different sounds, because here's the thing. It's not so much about the tech we're using these units, because the tech is antiquated. It's the sounds, okay? And that's, if you're a producer, if you're a live musician, it's all about the sounds. So with that being said, I'm doing my pilgrimage to ProducerPoints, and you're gonna see some more tips as always. I'm sorry, I've been on a 2.5 week hiatus, almost a 3 week hiatus concerning ProducerPoints. Have a lot of things going on. Clients have increased, and so you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'll see you in the next ProducerPoints. You be blessed.